What's up, everybody? Ethan Quant here, and welcome back to another dynamic episode of the Real EQ Podcast. Now, this is the show where I have real conversations about life, business, and actually becoming the best version of yourself with people that I personally like and admire, and that I actually want to learn from. So, if you want to grow, regardless of where you are in life and what you do, you're definitely in the right place. Today we have a special conversation with Myles Monroe Jr. Now, Myles is a serial entrepreneur, CEO, and president of Monroe Global, the Monroe Global group of companies, leading both family-run organizations for over a decade. He's deeply passionate about training leaders and the future leaders and helping them to discover and fulfill their true potential using practical, time-tested principles of self-development, management, and discipline. Now, Myles believes in creating strategies that turn vision into reality and embraces life constant changes with creativity and purpose. Today, we'll dive into his insights on leadership, personal growth, and mindset, and what it takes to live your best life. Everybody, y'all, welcome to the show, Mr. Myles Monroe Jr.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the invitation.
You know, bro, I so appreciate you being here, but I ain't gonna lie. Like, I don't know you as Myles, right? I know you as Charo, right? And I don't know, but I always knew you as Charo. Even in my phone, my assistant was looking for your number when we were trying to set this up. And she's like, there's no Myles. I say, right there. And then I realized that I even have you in my phone as Charo, man. So, you know, I'm very appreciative of the fact that you took time out to come here, man. Mm-hmm. But hold on. So should I call you Myles or should I call you Charo?
I guess the balance is if you call me Charo, that means you know me for a very long time.
Okay.
And then if you call me Myles, you would have, just come to know me, or you just prefer to call me Myles. So I go by both. So whatever you feel comfortable with.
All right. I can see what color. I know you as Charo.
That's fine, man.
But I like to start each one of these episodes just by asking my guests, how do you define success?
Man, success for me is really living out your purpose in life. Like, all of us were put here for a reason. We were given particular skill sets, particular gifts that we were blessed with. And our goal should be to discover and figure out what those are, develop those, and like really live those out on purpose. And I think if we're doing that and like truly being our best selves on a day-to-day basis, then success is imminent. I don't think success is something that we chase. I think success is a result of things that we do, right? And if we're obeying or living by principles and obeying certain laws in life, success is or should be natural. And I think for me, there's a definition of success that society has where they make it these tangible things, right? How much you earn on a monthly basis or yearly basis, the things that we have, the things that we are able to accumulate, like our house, our cars, or whatever. And if you have the nicer versions or the bigger versions, then you're uber successful, right? But I think success goes way beyond that, right? Because now you could have all of those things and actually be successful, but you feel unfulfilled, and that unfulfillment means that your true level of success hasn't been reached, right? So I feel if we want to really tap into our ultimate level of success, it has to be a lot more deeper than just these tangible things that we see. So for me, it's just living our lives out on purpose for a specific purpose.
I love that. I think that's one of the most comprehensive answers that I've had. And so, but based on that definition, right, would you consider yourself successful?
I think I've achieved levels of success. I still think there are levels that I hope to achieve. I do see the results of the work that I've put in the past. But there are seeds that I'm planting even today that I'm hoping to, reap benefits of in the future. And, to me, it's about continued success, right? I mean, I've been successful in a lot of things. I've failed in a lot of things. So, I I don't see success as the end goal. You know, like I say, like I said already, I think success is just a result of, right? So, yes, I think I've been successful, but there are more levels of, or higher levels of success that I would hope to achieve before my days are done here on Earth.
All right, awesome. Now you're talking about purpose, right? And personally, I've always had I wouldn't say funny relationship with purpose, but I think like purpose is so big, right? What would you say, or how do you then know if success is, fulfilling your purpose? How do you then know, one, what your purpose is, and how do you then go about actually fulfilling that?
So a lot of the times our purpose are attached to our skill sets, like the things that we are good at, or is attached to something that we are super passionate about, or is attached to things that make us upset. Like purpose is this like large, grandiose thing that it's hard to grasp at times. And I think for us, for individuals who may find it difficult to like truly know what their purpose are, you have to start with the basics. Man, what am I good at? Right? What are the things that I am skillful at? And you develop those skill sets. You pursue a career or a professional life in those skill sets. And then you gradually kind of figure out like what it is that you are purposeful about. For me, it's truly creating opportunities for individuals to develop and advance themselves personally and develop their leadership ability. And I've not always known that, right? I thought that my purpose was just to be a businessman because I love business. I love the creative side of like thinking of an idea and bringing that idea to life through like some form of business. So I've always been that type of person, but I've not always been able to connect it to like a true purpose. But now that I have, and once you know what that purpose is, it's much more easier for you to gear the things that you do towards that purpose. So sure, you could have a business that you want to open, and it could be a business that's in high demand for whatever product or services you're offering. But I think for us as individuals who are trying to figure out what our purpose is, it has to be an intentional search. And it's not something that you just pick up a book or you sit down and you think about it and you get it on day one. Like it's a journey, it's a process, and it doesn't come to you all at once, but you start to see visions of it and pieces of the vision of like that purpose for what it is that we were placed there for. And the onus is on us to, once we see that, like to internalize that, kind of develop that and start to live it out until the bigger picture is revealed.
Wow. That's heavy, bro. That's heavy. It's funny that you, not like ha funny, but as you was saying that, and you thought about, and you said, you thought that it was to be a businessman. I remember, and I came across some pictures. I say the other day, but it was probably further back than the other day. But when you had the wing spot, right? I remember because we both were nominated or got an award.
Funny. So it's ironic that you bringing this up, right? So I was, not to cut you off, sorry, but it's just ironic that you bring this up. I was recently watching an old video. This is back in 2011. Right. I know the year because I just watched this video. I know where this video came from. My dad was doing service at our church, local church at Barnes Faith Ministries. And in the video, at the beginning of the video, before he started to teach, he brought myself and my partners at the time up to announce that we were nominated for this Captain of the Industry Award.
Yeah.
And just kind of did that spill of it. And I remembered that, you took home the trophy that day.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But no, it was crazy because it's crazy that you know exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
But, and so, the question that I have, right? Because I remember, and I know the business, but how do you go now from really experimenting with different businesses, essentially in a more direct point, going from the wings place to now where you are now with the family business and all of that, and what has that journey been like? So now we're talking 15 years,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
what has that journey been like for you?
Oh man, so Charlman started out as just an opportunity, right? I wouldn't say that it was a business that I personally wanted to start or whatever. It was an opportunity with some guys that I knew who just had this idea, and I was like, okay, this sounds pretty cool. Something that I could see myself becoming a part of, and kind of jumped into it. As far as the family business side, I got involved in the family business maybe a couple of years before Chalmers was established, and it's when I moved home from university to work with my dad. Worked with him on a daily basis for 4 to 5 years before they passed. After they passed was when there was this like influx of a higher sense of responsibility, of okay, what is it that I want to do now, and then what is it that I'm going to do now, right? Because a lot there at the time, obviously my dad was had a big imprint on not just the Bahamas but the world, and the things that he had done, the things that he had established. Everyone was saying like, man, who's going to do this? Who's going to continue this and do that? And for me, I truly had to think about the things that, like I said, the skill sets that I have, the things that I'm good at, even the things that I want to be purposeful about, and how do I, decide which journey or which path I want to take. So for me, the transition from Chalmers to where I am now, it wasn't overnight, right? There was a lot of trial and error. There are a lot of things, a lot of decisions that I made that wasn't the right decisions. Some things didn't work out the way I wanted them to work out. But that's what this life of purpose is, right? This kind of figuring things out as you go. But I for me, it's just having a strong foundation. I'm big on my developing my spirit mind, and like truly tapping into my savior, my God, right, and ensuring that I stay prayerful about the things that I do, and even when I have missteps, right, just recalibrating and figuring out, man, okay, let's learn a lesson from this so that I don't make this mistake again. And that's brought me to this point now where I've figured out like what each business is supposed to be, where I'm supposed to sit in it, the teams that I'm supposed to bring in to help me facilitate what the vision is for these businesses. And I think it's why we are able to continue to do what we do today. 10 years from now, I couldn't tell you I would have been this person that I am today, as focused and as motivated as I am right now. But that just takes a level of maturity, continued development, and it's things that we should continually be doing as individuals as we grow.
It's very interesting. I'll be honest. As I'm saying this, right? I was curious because knowing you before, you stepped into this position, and knowing that, like you said, the impact that your dad had on, not just Bahamas but the world, right? Like I've been places, and I'm sure you hear stories like this all the time. I've been places where they don't even speak English. When they hear Bahamas, that's one of the names that everybody knows him, right? I am curious though, like, you talked about growing in and maturity, and, it hasn't been overnight. What was it for you? Like, was there ever a thought that I don't want to step into this role? Or, that has done so much. Like, what was that internal if you could share like that internal conversation that you
Sure.
have, because why I'm asking is because so often we hear about entrepreneurs, and on the outside looking in, it may appear that you had it easier because a lot of the groundwork had already been done. So you were, you stepped into this role not having to experience a lot of the sort of quote unquote missteps that, to build something like this, right? But I'm very interested in hearing, your journey as you, one, made the conscious decision to say, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do, and then how you navigated that.
So the good thing for me was I kind of crossed that crossroad, so to speak, before my dad passed. I remember when I initially moved home from college. Before I moved home at the time, I had no interest in coming back to the Bahamas. I wanted to, land a job in the U.S. And I say the story, been saying the story for a pretty long time, right? I was hoping that I could find a job in the U.S. and once I get this job, be successful in it and just be able to stay in the U.S. for the rest of my life, find a wife, make some kids and grow a family. But things just didn't work out that way, and my dad presented an opportunity for me to come home and work with him and the family business. And at the time, it was a no-brainer for me. Just the fact of like the opportunity that he presented, I didn't really have to think about it, just because it kind of felt right. So moved home, and then once I moved home, trying to kind of get my bearings on, okay, what is it like to work with someone like a Myles Monroe, right? And I think it took me about maybe 2 to 3 years to kind of feel comfortable in the area of the business that I was going to be working in and progressing. And then he and I had a conversation. My dad and I had a conversation, and it was probably one of the best conversations I've ever had in my life, because it was the opportunity for me to really, voice my the challenges that I felt like I was experiencing, where I may have felt pressured into like going this route or doing this thing or, pursuing this aspect of the business. And, that conversation with him, he kind of talked me through like the different aspects of the questions that I was asking and the thoughts that I was having. And, I think I got an ease coming out of that, because one of the things that he really told me was like his expectations wasn't for me to follow in his footsteps. It wasn't for me to be doing what he's doing, right? He knows the type of person that I am. He understands like the different skill sets that we both have. And he truly wants me to do things that I am comfortable with doing. So before they passed, I already had a level of comfort in the areas of business that I wanted to pursue, especially talking about the family business. So, once they pass and then we transition through, obviously you take time off to like grieve. And, at the time, like I'm saying this, like this was kind of a snapshot reaction and everything kind of worked out, right? But this took a couple of years, right? Because at the time of them passing, it wasn't something that was expected. So I wasn't even thinking about them not being and me having to like step into the this leadership role in the organizations. But once they passed, took a few years to kind of figure it out, and still was running the businesses at the time, but it's kind of coasting, right? And then got a better comfort level with what the situation was. Like, okay, this has happened. The world doesn't stop. What are you going to do now? And for me, it was, all right, let's figure out how I want to infuse my ideas and my creativity into this foundation that has already been built, right? You mentioned where people say, oh, you just walked into this business or this structure or this life where it was kind of built for you. And, a lot of people kind of use that as something negative a lot of the time. It's like when they throw that at people. And for me, like if we truly talking about like building generational wealth and generational success, that's how it's built, right? You don't hand every generation a clean slate.
Right.
Like you hand them something that has already been built, right? And my hopes is that I build onto the foundation that was provided for me, and then I pass that off to my kids, and they continue the building process. Because for me, like it was never I never took it as something negative for me to be able to start where I start from. I took it as it made me proud to be like, hey, my dad brought it to this point. I have to take it further, right? And do it in my own way, not force myself to do it the way that he did it. So for me, it's taken me a few years, a couple of years to get to this point of even being able to articulate this the way that I am. But I think I have a true sense of like purpose now, and really tapping into the vision that was originally created, right, and founded by my dad, and really understanding why that vision is what it is, and not wanting to change it, and just wanting to build on to it and continue it forward.
All right. And so just for the benefit of those who may not be familiar with, I mean, we've been referring to it as family business. What is the family business, and what do you actually do day to day, bro?
Yeah. So my dad had a international ministry that we have rebranded into Monroe Global. We have a family portfolio that we house under a business entity called the Monroe Group of Companies. And then we have other subsidiary businesses that we kind of run here and there. And a lot of those are businesses that I've started over the last 11 years. And, just by things that I like to do, things that I are interested in, want to test to see if it works, if it doesn't work. But primarily, the thing that we are working on now is our Monroe Institute of Leadership, right? And that's a leadership training institute. And we want to use that as a hub for leaders to be able to come and develop, right? Discover who they are, discover their leadership ability, and build off of that or build into that. So the Monroe Global handles the resources. So we have a lot of books, a lot of CDs and DVDs that we are offering for sale, or continue to put these products together to offer for sale. We have our Monroe Global app where we have digitized all of our resources and make them available to anyone, anywhere. Like that was one of the goals for Monroe Global. Man, how can we make these resources available to persons who maybe can't buy a CD or can't buy a DVD, or the shipping cost may be too high if you're across the Atlantic. So that's what Monroe Global handles. Monroe Group of Companies, like I said, is just handles all of the majority of our investment portfolios. And then we have our foundation that is more so the nonprofit arm, to where we do a lot of our give backs, and it assists us in building our institute. But it's also an arm to where we can still affect and impact the local communities in any and every way that we can, local and international communities in any and every way that we can. And then the Institute, like I say, it's the development of our curriculum that we want to continue to build, just to provide, like I say, a hub for leaders to come and learn and develop.
That's awesome, man. Now, you're talking about leadership, right? Now, I used to have extensive conversations. When I seriously got when I got serious about my business, right? Like, or at least what I wanted to be in my head. And this was after I came back from a business workshop, like a seminar. Mm-hmm. And I realized, okay, well, I need to expand my circle, because nobody in my circle could tell me how to be a millionaire, because I ain't got no millionaires in my circle. Mm-hmm. And so I went on this mission to establish my council of millionaires, is what I call them. And these were millionaires that I knew personally, that I could, call and have contact with. The goal is 5. I ended that year. This would have been 2021, 2022. I ended that year with 7, right? One of them was Dr. Kendall Major, right? And he first introduced me to this concept of leadership. Like, you know, you hear a leader growing up, but like, what is it, right? And so me and him would actually go back and forth. And I know he was a student of Dr. Myles, right? But my first deep dive into leadership was really reading the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell, right? And what stood out to me about that, or one of the laws that stood out most, was that the organization is not going to grow beyond the development of the leader, right? And so, you know, I've always been a proponent of self-development and all that stuff. But when you talk leadership now, right, like, where does that journey start for an individual? And is everybody really born to be a leader? Like, what does it mean to be a leader? Is everybody born to be a leader? And then, if that is in fact the case, where do I start my leadership journey?
Sure. So I think we first have to kind of dismantle what we may think leadership is, or what leadership looks like. Like, a lot of people consider leadership to be an individual that is leading a group of people, right? And that's true, right, in certain aspects. But it also has to do with just leading in a particular area, right, or industry or a sector. Just being truly connected to what it is that you can offer to that particular area of life. You know, I feel like everyone, right, all of us have leadership ability. We all are created to be leaders. But we all aren't leaders, because leadership is, first of all, it's a discovery, and then it's a development. And it's a sense of finding the area that we are supposed to be leaders in, right? So the area that you're purpose to be a leader in isn't necessarily the area that I'm purposed to be a leader in. But even if we say both are purpose to be leaders in a particular area, it doesn't mean that there isn't enough space for both of us to be successful leaders, right? But leadership to me is just finding, and it all, you know, diverts back to purpose. You know, discovering why we are. It gives us a sense of destiny and direction. And, you know, in that discovery, we start to understand not just why we are, but what it is that we're capable of doing. And that ability that we have truly defines the niche that we are supposed to be selecting and sitting in throughout different industries in life. So you have, you know, all of these different sectors and different industries, and you have leaders in these different sectors and industry. Now, the leaders, quote unquote, are at different levels. Like, you have some who are uber successful, you have some who are entry level success, but they're all leaders in their own right? And even not just the leaders of companies, but you have leaders of departments, you have leaders of particular managing groups or sector groups within the organization. So that's just that leadership is such a vast title that we kind of just throw on a particular set of individuals. But truly, I believe everyone was created to lead. And I think we have to define what our leadership is, and the way that we do that is truly discovering our leadership ability. And the only way that we can do that is like really grasping the reason why we are here, and that's discovering our purpose.
That's interesting. So it's interesting because after all of that, you still get back to purpose, right? And, you know, so we touched on how you could actually, you know, how you figure out what your purpose is, right? Like, this is something that you're naturally good at, right? But, and then we understand that leadership is tied to your purpose. But I guess for me, like, the question that I have is like, how you know if your purpose is good enough, right? Like, cause you hear purpose, right? You say, okay, but wow, this may be like your purpose. Like, does it have to be this grandiose thing, or does it have to be the small thing? Because when I hear purpose, like for me, that's still pretty heavy. Like, what are you put on this earth to do? Like, I know what I like. I like business. I like building stuff. I know what my gifts are. I have the ability to see. I can visualize very clearly. I know that I have a yearning and a desire to add value to all of my relationships, right? But does that translate into, now how do I take that knowledge of what I like to do, what my desires are, what I enjoy doing? How do I now take that kind of cocktail of things and come up with, I don't know if this is a thing, but my purpose statement?
Sure.
Like, because I'm sure, if somebody says, what is your purpose? You have an answer, right?
So, and let me just ask you a few questions. So, in all of the things that you do and that you feel like you're successful at, is there anything that you are able to give or get that ultimately fulfills you? Like, is there a sense of fulfillment when this happens or that happens? Like, what is that for you?
I love adding value, right? In terms, and I feel fulfilled when, I guess, somebody can say, boy, like I shared this with Tina today, like I like being the guy. Like, I love it when somebody says, boy, you know what, Ethan? It was because of you I was able to X, Y, and Z, right? But I don't do it for that. It makes me feel good, but I love that when somebody can say or feel that their life has been better because of an interaction, a relationship, an exchange with me, that they have grown, that they have had value added to them.
So, it's like, I'm glad that you said that, because that's what I would have kind of coined your like purpose to be, if not specifically that, something revolving around that, right? Because a lot of the times people mistake their skill sets or their success for purpose. So the things that we're good at provides success for us from a financial standpoint, a healthy standpoint. We're able to live better lives. But true purpose is tied to like ultimate fulfillment, right? So if I were to look at you and like listen to your story, I would say you get a lot of fulfillment from being able to impact and develop the team that you have built around you, right? The things that you're imparting in them and helping them to develop into their personal lives, the one-on-one time that you have with them, the conversations that you have with them, like that's what true purpose is. Everything else is just the platforms that allow us to be able to fulfill the purpose that we have, right? Because had you not had the companies that you have, you wouldn't have the team that you have. Therefore, you wouldn't be able to impact the group of persons that you put around yourself. So, like, sometimes purpose comes from our skill sets, right? So it's not necessarily I am good at math, so my purpose is to be an accountant. It's not that cut and dry. Like, your skill set is good at math, so your skill set provides you the opportunity to gain a degree, get a professional job in accounting, and be successful in that. And then somewhere along those lines, purpose is discovered. I always like to use the example of LeBron James, right? I'm a big LeBron James fan, and arguably the greatest of all time, right? Depending on the era you grew up in, obviously. Yeah. But, LeBron has, 23 years in the game, super successful financially, record-wise, all his accomplishments in the NBA. But his purpose wasn't to play the game of basketball. That created an opportunity for him to gain influence, gain financial success, and those things allowed him to help individuals in the hometown that he grew up in. Started a foundation, able to give back to kids, to allow kids to go to school for free. He created opportunities for his friends to start businesses and create wealth for themselves and their families. So like his purpose is tied to creating opportunities and providing for those that couldn't provide for themselves, right? So a lot of the times our purpose essentially isn't for us, right? The success, the skill sets that we have, yes, it allows us to achieve great success. But our purpose is never for us, right? It's to serve others in some way, shape, or form, right? So a doctor, for example, who goes to school for as many years as they go to school and they develop this skill sets, you know, they save lives, right? They're affecting lives in a positive way, and they're, you know, that's a part of their purpose. May not even be their full purpose, but what I'm saying is like purpose isn't just this. This thing that I consider and tell you, like I could write down for you, and this is how you discover purpose. It's unique to each individual, what your individual purpose is, and it's up to you just to, you know, get as much information on the subject of purpose that you can, so that when you start seeing these flashes of fulfillment and peace and joy that you get through your different life's experiences, you start to realize, man, this affects me more than this, right? Like the first time you were able to start a successful business probably felt great. The next 2 or 3 times you did it, it didn't feel so great because, you know, you've experienced it before. So you're like, man, okay, so starting business and being successful at it may not be the ultimate goal for me, or should not be the ultimate goal for me, because I don't have continued fulfillment in this. So it's something deeper. Okay, let's dig a little deeper. So once I start these businesses, what do? I'm going to build a team together. I want to perfect this team. I want to develop this team. I want them to be able to leave one day and start a business on their own and be able to affect others the way that I've been able to affect them. And that's how, like, we start to not only fulfill our purpose, but help others fulfill their purpose as well. So it's a, you know, it's not a simple discovery, you know, but it takes time, it takes effort, it takes trial and error, you know, success and failure, all that comes with, you know, truly discovering and understanding what our purpose are.
You know, so what I'm hearing, right? And because I always say, I ain't really the sharpest fella, I'm a little slow, right? So outside of just drawing a picture, but what I'm hearing is, all right, so purpose is tied to fulfillment. So if you're doing something that fulfills you, there's something related to purpose there, right?
Sure.
Also, gifts are given to us so that, gifts are given to us so that we can create opportunities so that we can live our purpose, right?
Or it's a stepping stone.
Right, stepping stone.
To
right,
get to
right.
that, yeah.
Or so that you, right. So because what I, you know, and you know, I'm the most religious person, right? But you know, one of the things that growing up in the house that I did grow up in, I remember, you know, the Bible saying, and please do correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember, you know, they said, you know, your gifts will make room for you,
Absolutely.
right? And so even as you're talking about LeBron James and the fact that he was gifted in basketball, but his purpose was in basketball. His purpose was to impact, you know, the lives that he has through his gift. Right. And so I really, really like that, because then it further, if you are truly walking in purpose, right, and your purpose is impact, right? Like if you're fulfilled in your purpose, that means that you're having impact. Mm-hmm. And if you want to have as much impact as you can, you will develop the gifts so that you can increase the opportunities for you to have the impact.
Mm-hmm. So now, even before you get the impact, if you're going to be successful, right? If you want to achieve a certain level of success, that should push you to develop your skill sets.
Well, now but if we're talking about the ultimate success
Sure.
is to be walking in purpose, then everything goes back
Full
to
circle,
purpose
yep.
because then your skill set, your gifts, your talents are really only a mechanism to be used to increase the opportunities for you to serve through purpose. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
See, I tell you, I learning
Absolutely.
something here. Hey, y'all need hiring. I could be an instructor at Monroe Global, boy.
Oh man.
So, I love that, and I'll be honest, I haven't this purpose thing is something that I have been kind of, I wouldn't say grappling with, but it's like I haven't. This is my purpose. Like I don't know. I am not comfortable in myself, maybe. And even as I'm saying this may be a vulnerable moment, but I'm not comfortable in myself to say that this is my purpose, right? What I am very comfortable in saying that I do want to add as much value to as many people as possible. Part of the reason why, I did the podcast, I'm focusing on it because I believe that I have something that to share. I want people to, I want to be able to add value at scale.
You have half of your purpose statement already?
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. One quick session with you, and I got that.
Man.
But so does Monroe Global then, like with me, I'm leadership. Like who is that for? Like I know you said that everybody, because leadership is tied in purpose, and you can lead in any industry, but really, who is coming to you, or who are you guys for, right? Like if you're talking about leadership development, right? Who are we developing? Like who is it for?
Everyone. I mean, like I say, our belief is everyone was born to be a leader, right? Everyone was born to serve or lead in a particular area of their gifting. So that means that everyone has the capability of high level of leadership. So what we do as an organization and the training that we offer is truly for everyone. Like people who are truly serious about discovering their purpose, understanding, and being able to write the vision for their life, and ultimately developing their leadership ability. It's open to any and everyone that's willing to learn.
Now, I want to shift gears a little bit, right? Because I know, I know you're married, and I know you had a little one,
Yep.
right? A little daughter, right?
Daughter, yep.
How, and I want to see if I can frame this right? Because, we talked about, when you mentioned that when we were talking about building generational wealth, you don't really look at the fact that you've taken the reins, your father passed something on to you, and he built it to this point. You're now in the process of building, adding on to that, but, even carrying it further, right?
Sure.
Are you being guided in any way, shape, or form, or influenced by the thought that I am building this for my daughter, or I am, this is what I want my daughter to walk in? Like, does that kind of influence what it is that you're doing, how you're doing it at all?
So yes, I know, because I don't want to force anything on my daughter, all right, or my kids, however many I end up having. I want them to be able to be as comfortable as I was in walking into the purpose that I now walk in. And this wasn't forced on me. It wasn't like my dad was like, you have to work in the family business, or you have to be a pastor and whatnot. As I progress, yes, the idea is, I want to build something that they can step into if they want to. But also, be cool with them making another decision and saying, nah, I don't want to join the family business. I want to do something else. And I'm, totally fine with that. And I think that there will be things in place at the time, hopefully that, the businesses will still be able to continue. But they are a big influence and have a big impact on all of my decision making, right? And the things that I do or don't do is geared towards what my kids are going to experience and feel 20, 25 years from now. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So you say you're a LeBron fan, eh?
Absolutely.
I'm not that invested. I grew up watching Jordan. I remember the Mike commercials. So what is now your vision? I know you said you're honoring the vision that your dad had for the organization, but I'm sure, like you said, you're all different people. Obviously, you've done things maybe differently. Things have happened. You've built, you've grown, even with the rebrand. Like there are things. Where is Charo? Where is Myles Monroe Jr. carrying the organization? Like what's on the horizon for you guys?
Good question. So because there are so many things that I like to do, right? I want to create opportunities for. One of the main things is creating opportunities, right? And I want to do that in as many ways as that I can. So what I mean when I say that is so that there are ultimately my goal, like I said, is to continue to help individuals discover their leadership ability. But it's going to look different and start different for a lot of persons. So how the mindset that I have is to create these different avenues of opportunities or services and products that all tie back to that process or the possibility of persons discovering their leadership. So let me kind of say that in more simpler terms. We have a subsidiary of our organization that's called Explore Africa Tour. With this Explore Africa Tour, I love to travel, right? So this idea came out of a love of travel that I have. And I not only love to travel, I love the continent of Africa. I think is a place that, everyone should visit multiple times in their lives. And I know for most individuals, the thought of going to Africa could be challenging because of, the fear of the instability that's there, the lack of infrastructure in a lot of areas, and a lot of it is just ignorance, right? Because persons have never gone to the continent or gone into particular countries, because they may know more about like one particular country but not know about another country. So the goal was to create an opportunity and an avenue for persons who wanted to discover Africa to come with us on a group tour, and we explore the country. So that gets the people there. While they're there, and then we're able to like talk and influence and impact in different ways, right? And so it's just kind of introducing them to what it is that we do through this avenue of one of our businesses. And then while they're there, they learn about our resources, they learn about our institute. We talk about the other opportunities that we offer. So for me, it's more so like creating different opportunities for people to now be linked back to what it truly is that we're trying to do as an organization. And that's just how I think creatively, man. How can I impact more individuals who may not even be thinking about like their leadership development, but may be interested in traveling or maybe interested in personal development, right? And wanting to get a book or a CD or some type of some information that gives them a little bit more insight on themselves personally. Or they may have a kid and we offer kids books, and they may get introduced to the brand from that perspective. So it's just trying to expand our reach with the amount of opportunities that we offer. But the goal is to tie everything back to ensuring that we're creating a space and an environment where persons are truly able to develop themselves on a leadership level.
I love that, man. I love that. And to that vein, if somebody wants to reach out or if they want to get more information on Monroe Global, the different things that you offer, where could they get in contact?
Yep. So Monroe Global on all social media platforms. That's the Addy, as they say. You could also reach out to me directly, Myles Monroe Jr. Jr. on all Myles with a Y, not a I. So
Yeah.
MYLES and Monroe with a U, not a O. MUNROE. JR on all social media platforms. You could also check our website, monroeglobal.com. And then if you're interested in our institute, which we just launched, it's called the Monroe Institute of Leadership. And our website is themill.org, themill.org.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Monroe Institute of Leadership.
Yeah.
All right. I tell you a little slow. No, I love that. And I know you have podcasts, Miles High
Miles High.
podcast.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
Man, so that came out of similar to you, just wanting to impact and influence individuals. But for me, I wanted to kind of offer an opportunity for people to hear different levels of success stories. And that's kind of the idea behind the majority of people that I bring on as guests. And then some of the parts that I do, individual parts that I do, it's geared towards just trying to give a little bit more insight on the perspectives that we should have or the outlook that we should have on life itself. A lot of times society tries to, put these blinders on us and want us to think in a particular way. And we were created to do so much more as individuals. And it's for me, I would like everyone to be able to break out of this rat race or this box that we've been placed in, and just think outside of that. Right? Think of opportunities that exist that we probably never thought of or wouldn't have thought of 10 years ago. Right? Because the world is big, but it's truly a very small place, right? Because we are able to connect with everyone in all aspects of life. And the part that I have is to not just elevate individuals in their thinking, but elevate individuals in the thought process of, man, anything is possible, right? I can do as much and as big of things that I would like to do. It just takes some motivation. It takes some discipline, and it just takes some work ethic. And the highlight of the pod is just truly taking you out of the thought of you are limited in anything, limited in your skill sets, limited in your gift, and getting you to think miles high above whatever you feel those limitations are.
That's a cool name. No, I love it, man. No, like I said, I'm a fan. I've watched some of the episodes, and I mean, obviously, you have so much value to give, and I do appreciate you answering the call and walking in your purpose so that you can share that with me and the rest of your audience, man.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm feeling inspired. So we talked about a lot of stuff, but is there something that you are maybe inspired, last closing words, that you may be inspired to share with the audience that maybe we didn't touch on, or anything that's just, what I feel compelled to share? Please do.
I mean, just reiterating that leadership isn't something that is unreachable. Like I truly feel we all have leadership ability in us, and leadership isn't just like you have a head person who's in charge and that's the leader and they're leading everyone. Like you can have a head person who's in charge as a leader, and there are other leaders that is under that person. And for me, you're not always going to be motivated, right? I think this has been probably one of the mantras that I've lived by over the last 10 years. You don't wake up motivated every day. So I try to discipline myself just to continue, right? Create a a strict regimen of things that I do throughout my day on a daily basis each day, and try to stick to that. And that develops particular habits that kind of make being disciplined natural. And days that you really don't feel like doing it, take those days off. You know what I mean? Like, we're all human. We don't have superpowers. We hurt and get emotional and get upset just like everybody else, right? And we have to understand that every day isn't going to be a positive day, and we're not going to be, again, motivated to do the things that we set out to do. But discipline is, I feel, key. And if we could focus on discipline more than our level of motivation, whether it's positive or negative, I think we'll be surprised what we'll be able to push through because of the habits that we're creating.
Oh, I love that. See, I ain't got nothing else to say, y'all. All I know is, like I told you guys in the beginning, this was going to be a dynamic conversation between me and Myles Monroe Jr., a.k.a. Charo. And I definitely learned something. I think I got some clarity. So I'm confident that you all also got so much value from this conversation. And don't forget, go check out them on social. Go check out Monroe Global on social. Get your leadership right. Go check out Explore Africa.
Explore Africa Tour.
Explore Africa Tour. And, until next time, guys, remember, get uncomfortable and do the work because the world needs your greatness. Peace.